From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow, of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks, ETX rocks.
Hey guys, Boston Chris here with the latest episode of Catching Up, and we are sitting here with the Jenn Ford band. Now, Jen and I have known each other, it seems like forever. We're like brother and sister, or I call her my sister from a different mister. I don't know if that works or not, but Jen was a guest on the show on episode 11, and we just filmed 265 the other day, so it's been a while.
It has been a
since
long
we had
time.
you on the show, and a lot has been happening with you, and we're definitely going to be talking in depth about what Jen has going on and where you can follow along with everything she's got going on. One of the busiest women in Texas for sure, without a doubt. But you guys did bring your instruments today. You did a little unplugged set for us here in the living room. Tell us a little bit about the first song y'all are going to play.
Baby Get Your Boots On is basically a good time song about going out and having a good time with your friends, and it's just meant for dancing and getting riled up on a Friday night.
It definitely encompasses who you are, too, as an artist. It's like when I first saw that you were going to be doing country music, I was like, she's going to have to keep some rock and roll in there. And she certainly does. Jenn Ford and her amazing entourage of musicians, the Jenn Ford Band. It's Baby Get Your Boots On here live in the ETX Rocks living room. Y'all check it out. All right, so we are back once again. It's Catching Up number 8 with Jenn Ford. And the catching up concept is just something we started doing when folks started coming back to the show. We've been doing it 2 years now, so of course you're going to have repeat guests from time to time. And I didn't want to keep having them on the regular program, so we just created this as kind of extra content. But anyway, catching up with Jenn Ford, it's going to be hard because you've done a lot in the last 2 years. I think we have to start with the TCMAs. Just a huge thing Linda Wilson's brought to the area. It's Carthage based, but it's statewide, and you've had a huge role in that company. So tell us everything that you do with TCMA.
Well, it started off with an internship last summer, and became the marketing director as an intern and helped her just basically push the award show, and we got it off the ground, and we brought Chad Malden on board as a producer and a couple other people from this region to help out and get the show off the ground. And now it's expanded to where we've got almost 10,000 likes on Facebook.
Right. It's just blown up.
It's crazy.
That's called the Jenn Ford effect for y'all out there that are just tuning in. Anything Jenn touches just blows up. It's called hard work, right?
Well, it's definitely been a lot of work.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I love it.
And so as part of being part of that, you got signed to Texas Country Records. Is that the right?
Yes.
Texas Country Records. And the first CD is self-titled, right? Jenn
Correct.
Ford. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the process for making the CD.
Well, I mean, it was unexpected that I was going to be singing at all at the Texas Country Music Awards. I was just going to co-host with Brandon Rodder, and they told me 2 weeks before the show that, hey, Jenn, this is where you come in and you sing when we were reviewing the script. And I just shook my head and went home and wrote a song. And luckily for me, it worked out because BJ Mezek was there from B&G Records out of Nashville, and he grabbed me when I walked off stage and said, I want you to write for me. And I just kind of shook my head like, yeah, right, sure, okay. Yeah. I don't know who you are. But we got to talking during the show backstage and realized that we had a lot in common, both in the military, both been military police. So there was a friendship made. And then Linda had told me that there was going to be some people from Nashville looking for artists. And I didn't even assume it was going to be me at all because... Right. They had artists like Bree Bagwell and Doug Supernall and Freddie Paythere and all of these legends.
Brandon Ryder.
Yes, yeah. Amazing. And I love Brandon. We both graduated from Carthage. And within 2 weeks after the show, I had a contract in my face. And,
wow.
And they said, we want you to do a single. And then I gave them a new song. And then they said, we want you to write 3 more. And then I gave them 3 more within a few days. And then they said, we want you to write a full EP. And so 6 songs later, here we are.
Awesome. And she's picked up 4 of the best musicians in East Texas. 3 of them are here today. You guys might recognize Zach Terry. He's been on the show before. Way back episode 63, I think. It's been a while since we talked as well. Yeah. And Zach's also a member of Rocket Queen. You still jamming with those guys as well? Yep. Very cool. And of course, we have Chris Dean. Also with the Mansion family. The eye's very important, by the way, in that. And
it gets a little crazy if you leave it.
Yeah, absolutely. It can get nuts. And Chris is probably my favorite slide guitarist anywhere in East Texas. Just a hell of a guitarist. And of course, Bobby Martinez, man. I've known you forever, it seems.
Yeah. It's been a while.
He plays a mean suitcase.
Yeah, he does play a mean suitcase. My God. Somebody might have forgot the cajon.
I don't know who we're talking about.
But he improvised very well, and I think the suitcase is the star of the show today, possibly.
Made it work.
But I mean, all of these guys have played on so many different projects and stuff here in the East Texas area. They're very well known and consummate musicians. You did really well.
Well, and I like them all.
Yeah.
That helps when you like everybody.
Absolutely.
And we all like each other. I think we all get along and have some pretty good inside jokes. And it's a lot of fun having these guys on board. I'm very fortunate to have who I have on board with me.
Yeah, and they work together really well musically as well. Just from seeing that live here in the living room today, the chemistry is off the charts. And I think that comes a lot with professionalism as well.
Yes, for sure.
And liking each other, I think, is really important in that aspect.
Absolutely.
We were hoping, well, I wouldn't say we were hoping, but it was supposed to be full band today, and it didn't work out that way. But I thought it came off really well acoustically as well. We're going to show you guys another song here as part of this episode. And, of course, if you missed the sneak peek on our social media, all you have to do to go back and find that is just go to Facebook search and put in Jenn Ford, 2 N's, and then ETX Rocks, and her video will pop right up. We have a history, though, so you might have to go through a few hundred posts of search and that. Jen and I have done a lot of work together here in the past, and I think for a long time we were synonymous. I think Jen and Boston and Jen, and we did so much together. And I wanted to say, I've told you in private, but just how proud of you that I am, because I know this is your passion, and we're almost both 40. I've been 40 for a while.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah, it is coming up. But it's never too late, though, right?
No, it's not. It's not, and I still got a lot more in store.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. One thing I do want to talk about, there's a lot of stuff that I want to get in here today. I hopefully have enough time, but my favorite song on the EP is You Don't Have to Stay. And this is with another great local artist who's blowing up all across Texas, Darren Morris.
Mm-hmm.
I need to hear first, I know the story behind why you wrote this song, but I'd love to hear it from your perspective. And then, where did you come up with the idea to bring Darren on board to that project?
Well, first of all, the song comes from the perspective of a husband and wife going through a soldier returning home from being in the military. And I served in the military for 11 years, and I've also been a wife, and that transition from being a soldier to coming back to regular life, out of battle, is difficult. And a lot of people have PTSD. A lot of people my age have PTSD. I've got PTSD. And it's a battle when you're dealing with someone who wasn't there, who didn't see what you went through, and it's not something you can really explain. It's not something you really completely understand when you first come back. And so You Don't Have to Stay is about the process of a couple working through that. And I told it from the perspective of a wife because that's the one that most people can identify with. And also because I wanted Darren Morris to sing along with me on that. He's got a beautiful voice. We've been friends for a long time, and we're in the same area, and I felt like that our voices would complement each other well. And once I explained to him the backstory behind it, he really attached himself to it and was all
connected to it so well.
But the song itself doesn't necessarily have to be about PTSD, but that's just the mindset that I was in when I wrote it. It can be about anything that you're going through as a husband and wife, and how the wife is trying to understand the husband and the husband's trying to explain it, and at the end they kind of come together, because you don't want to hold somebody back, you just want to be there for them, but it's just talking about how they come together at the end.
Absolutely. And I wanted to mention the song because obviously we couldn't play it today because Darren's not here, but I wanted to mention it because I want folks out there to get the message of this song, and for you to realize that it's so simple to just search for it, whether it's YouTube, Spotify. Jen is everywhere. It's called You Don't Have to Stay. I hope you guys will give it a listen today and make it a permanent part of your playlist, because that'll help them out a lot, getting those Spotify streams up. And I know YouTube is my go-to. I think I'm every single view on that video. What that Smith puts out when they publish the records, they make a little YouTube thing for it too. I think it has like 24 views or something like that. And I know I'm at least 19 of those. I just love the jam. And you guys are going to be making a video for this song as well? Or?
We've got a video coming out for Baby Get Your Boots On. There's been talks about doing videos for No Backseat Betty, Wide-Eyed Devil. It just depends on how the cards fall and how everything comes together. So we're waiting on Baby Get Your Boots On. It should be done here in a couple weeks, we're hoping for. And then we'll move on from there. Costs money to do stuff, so
yeah, unfortunately, money makes the world go round. Not music; it should be music, but hopefully that'll change someday. Another thing that I know you're very passionate and vocal about is female artists, and you and I share this passion very, very, very much. And so I wanted to really pick your brain on, now that you are part of the Texas music scene and you are a country female. What have you seen that needs to change within the industry to make it more viable for a female artist?
Well, I think, and not that I'm a feminist or anything, but I think that a lot of times in any industry that women have so many more elements that they're trying to balance while elevating their career with family, and that in the music industry especially, there's so many male artists that are getting visibility that the female artists aren't. And I don't know if it's because the songs aren't relevant enough, because I think for me as a songwriter, I try to write it where everybody can identify with it. I don't try to be marginalized by being male or female. I try to tell a funny story. I try to tell a tongue-in-cheek kind of story and a grown-up woman story. But I think the biggest thing that women need to do is to promote each other, because if
Absolutely.
we band together and we elevate each other, then there's more visibility. And visibility is key. Promotion is key. And it's such a big part of getting your music heard.
Yeah, and I think another really vital ingredient to this subject is the fans need to be heard more. I think, there's so many festivals and shows and big venues here in Texas that are only focusing on male-generated headliners, and the fans are allowing that to happen by showing up. And, there's some great male country singers in Texas. I mean, don't get me wrong, but, man, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of females that would run with that role if they were given it. I think the fans can really be heard more by just showing their presence. You see a female-generated show up, be there, support, share it on social media.
Well, hopefully our music, my music, the stuff that we're putting out there, the cover songs that we're doing to surround the originals that I have currently, will get people excited about coming to the shows, and they'll know that they're going to have a good time. And
Yeah.
it's all about having a good time when it comes to us.
Absolutely. And for y'all that are just hearing about Jenn for the first time, now Jenn and I have known each other probably 5-6 years, something like that. And she has a metal background. Used to be a vocalist in a metal band called Bleed the Rain. I'm sure she didn't expect this to happen today, but now she's a country artist, and I've seen your evolution process through that. I mean, I've been there a lot of the time with you, from Bleed the Rain, Jen and Rio, to now. And just to see your growth within songwriting has changed.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you still keep those rock vibes within your music. How important is that to you?
I think that I'm just an artist, and I like all music. All of my music that I've written, whether with Bleed the Rain or things that I did with Rio or even now, have a certain feel to it. And I'm influenced heavily by Bonnie Raitt and Susan Tedeschi. I love Gary Clark Jr., who's out right now, of course, taking everything by storm. I love the blues, and my influences come from me loving all forms of music. So as long as it is good music, I like it. And heavy metal was kind of a stretch, but I dove right in because I had a lot to say, and it was my first experiment with songwriting, and I had a great time doing it. But I think this is more my style. This is more real. I think my parents are not as shocked by this because I had a black mohawk and I wore lots of crazy costumes, but it was a dang good time, and I loved it a lot.
And the musicians she surrounded herself, Zach is known as a blues musician first, and then I guess Rocket Queen would be like progressive rock, kind of.
Just hard rock.
Yeah, hard rock. And so to see you as part of this project is really exciting for me as a fan, because I know what you can bring to it with your licks and everything. Multiple instrumentalists as well.
Thank you.
So, man, what have you been up to, man?
Oh, well, Jen called me and she said she had this new country project out, and she gave me the rundown, and it sounded like a fun thing to do, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So the last 3 bands now is a country band, a hard rock band, and a blues band.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. That's awesome. Is there anything you can't do? Like freestyle rap? Is that next?
It may be. I don't know yet.
Down the road.
I just want to point out that I think country music in general, and all music that's mainstream right now, is taking influences from every flavor of culture, and we all have listened to similar music growing up. So even the stuff you're hearing coming out of Nashville right now is not traditional and marginalized music. There's so many different flavors to everything, and that's what I like to bring. I want to bring something that everybody can enjoy and everybody can understand.
Yeah, and what's great about Texas too, especially within the infrastructure of the charting system and radio and listeners and all that, is Texas is all encompassing when it comes to style of music. Sure, it might all have its roots into country, but it has all these different branches. When you go from Aaron Watson, who's more like red dirt, traditional, I call them hat acts. Then you have people like, Jackson Taylor, who's a lot more red dirt sounding, has a lot of southern rock kind of flavors to it. Then you even have some of your pop country artists, even here in Texas, that are making waves on radio. And I love that we have that here in Texas, where we can all, as a kind of a family of fans, whatever we like is on the radio.
My favorite thing that someone ever said to me about this venture was, of course, came from Chad Malden, and he was the producer on this album. I was like, is this the right sound? And he was like, I says, is this the right sound for Texas country? And he goes, Texas is an attitude, and
Yep.
you've got it.
Yeah, it's very true, very true. Chris Dean finally on the show. Now we had an episode with a double nickel band back in the 70s. I think it was like 78 or something like that. And Chris was supposed to be here that day, and he stood us up.
1970.
Absolutely stood us up that day. It was dirty as hell. But he's finally here. You still playing with the Mansions?
Oh yeah, we're still busy.
Yeah.
They played at my wedding.
Yeah, I know. I was there.
Yeah.
They killed it too.
Yes, they did.
We have a video up on our YouTube of Jen actually singing with the Mansion family.
They were perfect.
She should have been up there more, but I guess she was kind of busy with Eric.
Yeah.
Or something.
Getting married. Tying the knot.
Yeah,
But it was
Yeah.
great. That was
that was a party.
That's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be a good time.
Yeah, Katie Lynn was there. She sang a couple of songs.
There was a lot of superstars there.
Yeah, there was. And Mansion Family was a perfect band for that night too.
I didn't even realize you were even knew who we were, or fans of ours. Jen wants to play our wedding.
I think the first time, let's see if I can remember, the first time Jen saw y'all play was in Tyler.
That is right. That is right. I saw y'all at the July 4th thing.
July 4th. I don't even remember
I was
seeing you
enamored
there.
with you. I was like, look at that guy go.
Yeah.
I want that guy.
The
play at my
slide
wedding.
guitar is just redonkulous, man.
And he does it
Thank
a
you.
little bit in our set, in our show. He
That's
does
awesome.
great with it.
Yeah. The lap
Thank
steel. You still playing that?
Yeah, I really want to break that out on a couple of the songs we've got here. I haven't done it yet, but there's a few.
Yeah.
John Wayne Smile, I think, would be really cool to bring that out on, and maybe even You Don't Have to Stay, just to add a little bit of something different to it.
Just adds a different flavor. Fills in some of those gaps sometimes. And that's another thing, like You Don't Have to Stay. It's very country sounding. It's obviously a badass ballad. It's my favorite song, so I'm going to talk about it a lot. But there's a lot of attitude in this record too, with No Backseat Betty. Even the Baby Get Your Boots On has a little bit of attitude flavor to it. It's very Jenn Ford.
Yeah, well, that's what it was supposed to be. I wanted to make it country, but I definitely wanted to make it me.
Yeah. And Bobby Martinez, man. I think the first time I met you, you were dallying with the Gypsy Creek Boys.
I did a little bit. They're a good piece. I just it's good because when I played with them, I learned a lot. And I grew up on the '80s, so when I was playing with them, I learned a lot about the '70s.
Yeah.
So it kind of I remember my dad listened to Carlos Santana and the Eagles, and all
The
these
Eagles
older
played an
bands.
Eaton Suitcase, man.
Hey, I'm telling you, they're adaptable.
Yeah.
But listen to these guys, playing with them is kind of, it brings back memories. Not only does this, but it really, it gets me to think outside the box, and see where they're coming from at that time.
Right.
So it was really good to have that influence. Plus, I'm Latin and Spanish, so playing that when I was growing up. Yeah, I
Wait,
played.
what?
I played in a Tejano band when I was 16 years old.
Cool.
Like we used to play these quinceañeras and what they called in Spanish bodas, which is weddings.
Right.
And when I was 16, and I was like, playing these every weekend. So playing all these bands, and it was like, so I'm used to, that type of work ethic, I guess you would say. But, then branching out and then going to rock.
Right.
And then, just then eventually getting to, when I moved here to East Texas, I didn't know anything about Texas country. I really didn't. I knew about country, 90s country, 2000 country, but I had no idea about Texas country, what they said. And then I heard, I think it was one song from, it was, who was it? who is it? CCR? No, not
Cross Canadian
Cross
Rally.
Canadian. And I was like, wow, these guys got a kind of like a rock vibe to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing. And I was like, yeah, I can deal with
It's
that.
heavy duty country.
And
Yeah.
it was like, wow. So it opened my mind even more. So it's like it's amazing just to see, how the music has evolved.
And you've always been known as one of the most versatile drummers in East Texas.
And
as
that's
well.
good. That's
Yeah.
good. And no, I'm not a Nashville drummer, but
That's okay. Please don't ever become that.
That's good because I'm not a Nashville guitar player.
I know, but here's the deal: watching each of y'all is enough for me. It gives me inspiration enough. I mean, watching Zach, even with Rocket Queen, it's a whole different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Watching Jen sing, it's a different. And then watching you with the match band, I didn't know who you were, and then I seen you, and I was like, wow. I want to be in that band. but I mean, it just brings a whole different atmosphere to this whole thing that we got, and I can only imagine how we're going to be.
Yeah.
A year
I think that's
to
one of the
now.
cool things about it. When you're in a band you really want to be in, is if you can stop playing, and maybe just theoretically, if you can stop playing and step back and look at everybody and still have as good a time and enjoy yourself as if you were playing,
And don't need alcohol.
that's
for
a
that
good
to
band.
happen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you enjoy the people around you and hearing them play and hearing them sing as much as you enjoy playing, then that's the formula for enjoying
Awesome
a band and being
stuff.
a good band.
Jen is one of the busiest people in Texas when it comes to just hustling and getting, always working, never sleeping, trying to figure out new ideas. How are you guys evolving to that? Are you guys just like along for the ride? Because I know that can be daunting when someone is, booking out the schedule so much and keeping you that busy. What is that like for y'all?
If I ever win the lottery, this is going to be my manager. And this is going to be my promoter. I promise you. On the side or whatever. She's the hardest. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many people come up to me and say, she is the hardest person that I know that works and gets it out there. Social media, this, that, Instagram. I mean, I'm like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. But, you have to have that work ethic to get what you want.
Right.
Your best promoter is yourself.
Yeah.
And that was one of the hardest things I had to realize, because I sang in the military and the package was there and the trucks are there, the 18-wheelers were there, the awesome musicians were there. And the hardest thing to understand when I got out and came back and wanted to start doing music again was how to do it. And it is such a big hustle. You have to work, you have to network, you have to go out and support other bands, you have to get to know people, you have to appreciate their music and take some influence from their music, because I want to mention Meredith Crawford and Heather Little, because they are some of the best songwriters I know in East Texas, and they're dear friends. Lee Mathis is amazing, and Darren, Cody, we're all working hard for the same goal, and that is just to make a living doing music. And fortunately, these guys didn't hate me. They all liked me enough, and they knew me enough, probably because I went out and met all of them. And you have to network. And that's a big part of my job.
It's so important. It's so
a huge
important.
part of my
and
job.
anytime you have free time, find somebody to support, even if you're an artist. I mean, we're friends with dang near everybody here in East Texas, but you have to find somebody to go out and watch a live show and support your favorites. Even if you're not part of the scene, even if you're just a fan. Open yourselves up to new horizons, new acts, new artists. And just make sure that other people hear that too.
Well, and a lot of thing is, don't be afraid of putting yourself out there. I mean, I record a lot of the stuff that we do. Like if we're just practicing, I'll record and I'll put it up on Facebook. It may not be perfect. It may not be, get 1 million views, but it shows the progress and it shows people what we're doing, so they stay interested in. And now we've got all of the support. The show that we just did with Doug Supernall, we had a tremendous audience that a lot of them came to see what this was all about. This was our first full band appearance, and I think we hit a home run, and I could not have done it without these guys. I had the album, I had the music, I had the production, but I needed the band, and that was the most important piece to getting to the next level.
Yeah.
And now the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I mean, you couldn't have picked better guys, honestly. I mean, all these guys are very down to earth, cool cats.
They're funny.
Yeah, oh, I know. Just trying to keep them in check for 40 minutes during an interview is not easy, guys, not at all. Especially the two at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We get into a lot of trouble. We're the troublemakers.
Double trouble over here.
I think Jen slipped me a tranquilizer.
Yeah. We're the mess around gang.
Yes.
So are you gonna name the band, or is it just gonna be Jenn Ford Band?
I think it's just going to stick with Jenn Ford. I mean, I have an arsenal of other musicians that come in and play, because these guys all have jobs and
Other projects and
projects
stuff,
that they're working on, and I don't want anybody to feel tied down if they have to go to a family reunion or whatever. But I still, am trying to make it move forward. And eventually, if we get to the point where we're making a living doing this, then of course I want these guys along with me because I love them. But I understand it takes time and it's a lot of hard work.
Right.
So maybe we'll get to that point. Hopefully in a year, we'll be at that point.
Cool. All right, so once again, it's episode 8 of Catching Up featuring Jenn Ford, my buddy, my sister from a different mister. So cool to see you guys again. All of y'all are my buddies, and it's always cool to catch up with friends of ours. And of course, you guys are going to play another song, and this one is called Wide-Eyed Devil. Tell us a little bit about this, Jenn.
Wide-Eyed Devil, I wrote some lyrics down about 3 years ago, and I was single at the time, and I was back in the dating scene after years of not being in the dating scene, and I got mixed up with a lot of different people trying to figure out what was right for me and what I wanted, and there was just too many factors coming in, and I felt like, you know what, I'm a mother, I've got all of this experience behind me, and I'm not just going to fall for the first person who says that they care about me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be thinking about my children. I need to be thinking about my future. And it doesn't matter what you're spitting at me. It doesn't matter what you say to me. If I don't trust it in my intuition, then it's a bad idea. And I listened to my experience. I mean, I was in my mid-30s when I wrote that song, and I just felt like I was too old to be going through just random relationships. I needed to be investing in a person that was going to be there for the long haul and that would love all of me and not just try to sell me some kind of magical unicorn story. That's not how love works.
Right.
So that's where that came from. And it's heartfelt because the emotions that you have after you've been alone for a long time and you have an infatuation with somebody, it's exciting, but it can be dangerous if you don't truly think about what your ideals are. And that's what I had to do. I said, you know what? What you're saying to me is what I need to hear, but it's not what I need in my life.
Cool.
And I need to love myself.
Yeah.
And I need to take charge of my life, and I'm not going to fall for it.
I was excited to hear all of these songs because, I helped you. I didn't help you, but I was there when you lived a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool to hear them as songs, and kind of relive those moments of your life. Just super, super proud of you and everything you're doing and working hard, trying not to get emotional. So it's live and unplugged here in the ETX Rocks living room. It's Wide-Eyed Devil by Jenn Ford. Y'all check it out.
No, I won't love
so once again, we are back. It's episode 8 featuring Jenn Ford of Catching Up. Now, if there's listeners and viewers out there that are hearing about you for the first time, where can they follow along with everything you have?
We're everywhere. We're on every social media. Jenfordmusic.com is the website. It's my online EPK, and it gives you links to all the different musical download applications you want, like Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon. It's all in there. We're being distributed by Smith Distribution. I have a Facebook page. It's Jenn Ford Music. Instagram, Jenn Ford Music. Twitter, Jenn Ford Music.
And again, it's 2 N's, so it's JENNFORD. Very important. Jenn Ford Music, pretty much everywhere. It's jenfordmusic.com. Is that right? So make sure you go there. That's a one-stop shop where you can get her social media. You can purchase her music there. If you're a venue, you can contact her through that as well. And we'll put a link to that website right there down in the description to make it easier for y'all. Make sure you're picking up a copy of the brand new EP. It's called Jenn Ford, and it's self-titled, so it's super easy. It's got 6 songs on it.
6.
Is that right? Is there plans for a full record coming up?
There's been talks. We're gonna probably start working on that once we get the band rolling. Then it'll probably be more collaborative then.
Cool, very cool. And this year's TCMAs. What's the date for that?
October 15th in Fort Worth at the Will Rogers Auditorium. Go on TexasCountryMusic.org to get your tickets and to sponsor and to become a member. It's all there.
And it's you and Brandon hosting that
Me
again,
and Brandon
right?
Ryder co-hosting.
Awesome. So make sure you're doing that. It's TexasCountryMusic.org.
Correct.
And pick up your tickets October 15th, emanating from Fort Worth at the Will Rogers Theater.
I think so. Auditorium.
We'll go with theater. If it's wrong, just comment
Right
down
there
below.
in the stockyards.
Yeah.
Right down there.
In the Stockyards, one of my favorite places in the whole world, man. All right, so once again, it's been episode 8 featuring Jenn Ford, and as well as Zach Terry, Christine, Bobby Martinez, members of the Jenn Ford Band, unofficially the Jenn Ford Band, I guess. Jenn Ford and crew.
Jenn Ford and the gang.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with us here on the show. It's always cool to catch up with you guys. And I'm going to put some stuff down in the description for Rocket Queen and Mansion Family too, so folks can follow along with that, since we did mention that. Is that okay with you, Jen?
Make sure you put down that Bobby is for hire for quinceañeras.
For what?
Quinceañeras and bodas.
No pesos?
Don't matter. You pay me in anything.
Money is money.
All right, so for a certain amount of Bitcoin, Bobby Martinez could be yours.
That's right.
Plays a mean solo on a
Yeah.
suitcase, as you guys can see tonight. So there you go, very versatile drummer.
I'm versatile.
Just take some Bitcoin.
And he's good looking. I got all these
Okay.
good looking dudes around.
He's all right.
I can't go
Alright.
that way.
All right.
Can't do it. But if you are watching us for the first time, you can follow along with everything we have going on. We're located at ETX Rocks. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. That helps us in more ways than you can know. Every time you hit subscribe, it does change the algorithms on YouTube, which means every sub we have makes our videos more recommended for people that are coming on our channel. And the more recommended our videos are, the more exposure that people like Jenn Ford and all the other awesome people we've talked to get. So hit that subscribe button. Also, as a new subscriber, you'll get advanced notification of every single video we upload on YouTube. Sometimes you'll get 3 or 4 days notification before anybody else even knows it's out. So that's always a cool thing. And you can shut off notifications. I know we upload a lot on there, and that can drive people crazy, but that's okay. Also, we are completely self-funded on this show, which means we are low budget, y'all. We have Walmart lamp trees for our professional lighting. That's true. This is like a MacGyver. Wow, that was a Boston accent. Did y'all hear that? This is like a MacGyver movie set. Seriously, we just
I'll call you Mark.
Mark. It's Mark
Mark
from down on
Brownback.
Harvard Square. So yeah, we could definitely use your help if you'd like to contribute to the show. We have set up a donate link at www.paypal.me/ETX Rocks, and we'll take American dollars, Egyptian pounds, Polish zloty, Russian rupees, and Robert De Niro. And that's it. Stop sending me pesos. Got like 3 drawers of pesos.
Send it to me.
Bobby will take your pesos.
I'm going to Mexico on vacation.
Also, if you'll send me $2 in yen, that'll make me a millionaire in Japan. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, the exchange rate is like $1 million for an American dollar.
Wow.
Yeah. Even homeless people in Japan are millionaires.
Man,
When we go on the tour in
Jen
Japan.
Ford needs
I
to
don't
go
know.
to
Let's work
Live
on
at
that.
Budokan.
Share our
right?
stuff.
If you're watching in Japan, they would love to do a show out there
Sure will.
for $1 more than free.
sponsors. If you have a plane, a jet, we'll do
And
it.
a suitcase.
And a
Or a
suitcase.
jalopy. That's a good word. So yeah, whatever I just said. All right, also because of y'all's contributions, we just launched a brand new website in March of this year. You can find that at www.etxrocks.show. And we have well over 5,000 hours of content on there at your fingertips. All of our live interviews, full-length episodes, as well as over 500 live performances are all right there. You can also pick up our live event schedule on there where we do all these acoustic shows across East Texas. We'd love to meet you, so come on out to a show and say hi. Again, that's at www.etxrocks.show. And I definitely want to thank Casey Pickney for his latest donation with Rock House Productions. Casey, everything you do for us is much appreciated. Thank you, man. And as we always say on the ETX Rock Show, we want to thank you guys out there for always supporting live music of all genres and all styles. And don't ever forget,
ETX rocks.
that's right.
Nancy was a girl, she was 33. She had a job, 2 kids, working on a degree. She spent 11 years with Uncle Sam. She didn't want a thing from any old man. She was tall, she was blonde, she had blue eyes. They came from all around. Catch her smile, Nancy wouldn't give 'em time of day. And if it kept coming, this is what she say. Well, I ain't gonna be no backseat Betty. If there's something you want, you better be ready for love all the time. Well, I ain't gonna be no backseat Betty. If there's something you want, you better be ready for loving me all the time. Well, it didn't take her long to figure things out. She was out of their league and she wouldn't allow any man to extract her from the line. She did it all on her own and managed everything fine. She said, I ain't gonna be no backseat Betty. If there's something you want, you better be ready for loving me all the time. Well, I ain't gonna be no backseat Betty. If there's something you want, you better be ready for loving me all the time. She tell him I ain't looking to be saved. I don't need a man, and I won't be paid. 'Cause I ain't gonna be no backseat Betty. Well, I ain't gonna be no backseat Betty. If there's something you want, you better be ready for loving me all of the time. Well, I ain't gonna be no backseat Betty. If there's something you want, you better be ready for loving me one of the time, one of the time. One of the time, one of the time.
From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where get your socks. That ETX ROCKS